Your photo transfer didn't go as planned. Edges kind of messed up. Not all the color came through. Ugh. Effed up photo transfer? No. I see this as an invitation to get creative, so let me show you. So there's always life lessons in everything. I see lessons and inspiration in almost everything, right? So this one really reminded me of really life in general, especially when it comes to even like manifesting something or trying to create something in your life. So you may see it one way in your head, in your mind. You may think about something in a certain way. You may be trying to achieve something in a certain way, but when it doesn't go as planned, or it turns out a little different from what you're expecting, what you were hoping, wishing for, sometimes we tend to just kind of shut down. We tend to just be like, well, that didn't work. Or maybe I'm not good enough, or, that's not exactly what I wanted, but maybe it's everything that you needed, right? Like when we're trying to manifest something into our life, a lot of the times, we can have this idea of what we want it to show up as. And when life gives us something maybe even similar, but just not exactly the same, we might get down about it. We might kind of get discouraged. We might be like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Why did I get this? But if you actually start looking at it in a different light, look at everything, like everything that comes into your life and everything that when you put your time and effort into something, and it comes out a certain way. What if it was supposed to come out this way? What if your manifestation, that maybe if it came through the exact way that you wanted it to come through, what if you wouldn't be ready for that? Like really sit and think about that. And there's like one particular manifestation that I'm personally referring to when I speak about this, because I have this giant dream life goal, and I'm not going to go into what that is right now, because that would take maybe like 5 hours. And it's in the works. So I'm not putting energy into speaking about it right now. But when I was trying to call it in and I was trying to manifest it, I was, doing these guided meditations by Joe Dispenza that activates your pineal gland and really visualizing. And I literally lived every single morning for about 30 minutes every morning. I lived in this idea of manifestation that I was trying to bring into my life. I literally could see myself. I was walking through that manifestation. I was holding, and it's business related, but it's more of a way of living. And so I would sit down in my mind's eye and I would have meetings with the people that I was co-creating this with, right? And I felt it. I could taste it. I knew every little aspect of it. I could see it. I could feel it. And so when I was trying to call this in, I had an idea one day. I was like, you know what? I'm trying to manifest something really big, and I don't feel like that's how I'm supposed to bring this into my life. I was like, okay, this is like maybe several years out, right? This entire end version is years away. So then I was like, well, what would be the immediate first step to getting there? And for me, like, without a question, without a doubt, like the first thing that came to mind was, the house, like, because when I was trying to manifest this thing, the place I was living, the situation I was in was going to change soon. And it was going to be a situation where I would need to find another place to live. And, I was in New York, and I was like, where am I going to go? Do I need to stay in? I was so unclear about if I was supposed to stay in New York, whatever. So initially the first thing that came to mind was the house, because there are multiple houses in this big giant dream goal of mine. But for me personally, it was like, well, the house is the first step. And I remember like within a week of me declaring that the house is the first step, things changed drastically. The situation that I thought was inevitable didn't happen, and it totally took a 360 turn, and I ended up living in a forest in a bedroom that has 6 windows and a skylight. And the only thing that I see outside of my windows is forest, is trees. And then it was so interesting because during that week the house was part of the manifestation that I had been doing for like 6 months. So, I would always wake up, in my mind's eye, I'd wake up in this house. I would have my coffee with my dog. I would go through my morning routine in this house. And then I would leave the house and I would go walk into a forest because the forest was my backyard. And then I would go into the rest of this big manifestation, right? So it was so crazy how the house that I ended up moving to was everything about the house in my mind's eye was here. Okay. Down to the lowered. So there was this one time when I was living, I was a kid. I don't remember where we were. But we stayed at these people's house. It was like a cabin in the woods. And I fell in love with this place because it was in the woods. There were deer that you could see out the window licking a salt lick in their backyard. And one of the big things that stuck with me about this particular house was that in their living room by the fire, I think there was a fire. I don't know if my memory serves me correctly there, but the thing that I remember was that the couch, where the couch was, it was like the floor, there was like a step down. So it was like a sunken in, there we go. That's maybe a way of saying it. It was like a sunken in living room where it was a little bit lower than the rest of the house. And for some reason I loved that. It was like something cozy about that. And so in this dream house of mine, that I was, every morning for 6 months waking up there, going about my morning, there was the couch was located in a sunken living room with a fireplace, and the fireplace was right next to a bunch of windows where all I could see was like the woods. And my bedroom in this house was also the same. Like I really felt like I was waking up in nature, right? I had tons of windows and all I saw were trees. And the backyard, that was another pivotal part of this house, was I would walk out my backyard, like the back sliding door of the house, into my backyard. And so there was like a grassy area in the backyard. In my mind's eye, there was a grassy area. And then there was a little trail that led into the forest that led me to the rest of this place, right? And literally where I ended up moving was exactly that. And the other things about the perimeter of the house in my mind's eye, certain things like trails, obviously trails, canopied trees, and a stream, like a river or a stream that flowed through the property. Okay. So now where I'm at, so I remember like when this became an option, this house became an option, and I was just looking through the photos and my jaw dropped because I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was like, wait, this is way too close to my envisioned house that I had for myself. I'm like, it's hitting all the major nails on the head. Like, and then certain things that I didn't even realize were here kind of appeared to me once I moved, and I was like, walking my dog in this neighborhood, it's really hilly. So it feels, feels like a good trail, because it's foresty. So you're surrounded by trees and you have canopied trees on like 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 of the paths, like there's 4 different roads that veer off, and every single road has canopied trees over it. So when you're walking in this neighborhood, you just feel engulfed in nature. It is a, it's a forest bathing, beautiful place. And then there was one day that I realized I also have a river, I have a river here. Now, it's not the normal type of river. So this is another thing, like, okay, where I'm living now is not where this big dream goal is going to happen. So it's separate from that. And so part of me was like, this is wonderful, but I'm like, but this is not exactly how I thought it was going to be, right? This was a little different from how I envisioned it in terms of like location wise and property size and anyway, there were certain things that were different, but the house, everything that I visualized and that I visualized in detail about this place is exactly what I'm living. And one day it was raining really, really hard. And I had to leave the house. I'm leaving the house. I pull out of my driveway and I just look at the streets because there's hills everywhere. So there's a street that goes, up, and then there's another one that goes down, and it's like an L shape. And as I'm pulling out, I just look at the road and I'm like, whoa, there's literally a river flowing through these roads right now. Like the amount of rain and how hilly this place is, there's a river flowing right by my house. Like the river was there. So when things don't show up or they don't work out exactly how you wanted them to, maybe they're not broken. Maybe they're not garbage. Maybe they're not, maybe it's exactly what you needed. Maybe it's better than what you had even envisioned, because one thing I can say about where I live right now, the trees here, I have a very deep connection with trees. I cannot live without trees and plants and nature, but definitely trees. And I've never felt a connection as deep and as strong and as grounding as I feel with the trees right outside of my bedroom window. In particular, the blue spruce tree. Like this tree is so grounding. Like I've never experienced feeling instantly grounded by looking at a tree. It's usually like sitting, watching the trees, and I'll get into a meditative, calm state. But this particular tree just grounds me instantly. It's so magical here. And this is where I get to live while I am still working on developing this dream goal. And now that I see it for what it truly is, I'm realizing that my dream goal is probably going to be even better than what I'm trying to visualize. Now, visualization is a very strong, powerful, key player in manifesting, especially for me personally. Like the way I manifest, visualization and feeling into the feeling of already having it was pivotal in bringing in the bigger manifestations. The littler ones really came in, and maybe I'll do another podcast, or maybe I'll do like a little video on manifesting, because I just recently got into the whole manifesting thing about like around 3 years ago, like a little under 3 years ago. And I didn't really know how to do it. I was, and so I was like watching a bunch of videos, and then I started realizing that I can instantly manifest things. Like it's become so easy and fun and exciting to instantly manifest stuff. And so I will do I'll do a whole video on that, because this is something and the way that I'm manifesting is not the way that a lot of people talk about it on YouTube. Like the things that actually really work and that bring things into my life within a day or a week from when I initially had that desire is totally different from a lot of the things, and it's different from the way that I'm manifesting bigger things in my life. So look forward to that video. Maybe I'll do that one soon. I'll do that one soon. Okay. After posting this one, I'll do that one soon. So subscribe or, check back on my channel soon. I'm not going to give a date because it's hard to tell when this video is even going to be posted. But yeah, so let's start seeing things that we may have, if things don't seem perfect, there's always something that can be gained from that. There's always when we're talking about creative ventures, things that might look like things that you might be working on a project and you feel like you just ruined something, right? Or for this photo transfer, I wanted it to come out perfect because I just wanted to, put it on the wall. However, now that it's a bit not perfect in the sense of the whole photo didn't come out the way that I expected, now it invited me to get creative. It invited me to look at it in a totally different way than I was looking at the photo originally. And now I can create this beautiful magical frame that quote unquote covers up quote unquote blemishes, but I don't even see them as blemishes anymore. It's almost like it's kind of a dream state, right? It's a dreamy, whimsical piece now that all of the different shades that didn't come out right, it works with how it's going to be put together and how it's going to flow because of the way that I'm framing it and utilizing the things from my backyard that I love collecting. I have a little bit of an obsession with tree bark and branches, especially I'm in love with the lichen all over the trees. Like lichen encrusted bark is like my new favorite thing, and I actually have a few pieces that are so gorgeous I need to resin coat them and turn them into jewelry. But because I've been collecting these things over a period of time, not even really understanding what I was going to use them for, just I thought they were pretty and so I was collecting them. Now they're turning into this beautifully framed photo of my dog that I have a perfect little place for on the wall. So next time you're doing something or something shows up in your life and it's not exactly the way you thought it was gonna end up or turn out, and before you start criticizing it, before you get down about it, before you, internalize a negative aspect of, before you connect it to something negative, I want you to stop and I want you to ask yourself, how could I view this in a different way? How could this be exactly what I need? Really ask the need question too, because that's another thing. If my big grand manifestation were to have come in at the date that this house came in instead of that big grand manifestation, I would not have been ready for it. Period. Because when I look back now, no, I have grown so much in the 2 years that I've been here. And I'm growing into the person that I need to be in order for that big giant thing to come in. So ask yourself that again too. Ask yourself, especially if it's something in your life that you're trying to manifest that is coming in a different way. Ask yourself, would I have been ready? Honestly, be honest with yourself. Would I have been ready for that thing to come in the way that I wanted it to come in? Would I have been able to, if it's money, would I have been able to hold that money? What are my money blocks that may have maybe made me spend it really fast, or maybe giant additional bills would come in, or my car would break down, or I would need to spend it on X, Y, and Z, because you haven't worked through your money blocks and your nervous system regulation to be able to accept that amount and feel grateful and have your nervous system be able to hold it. So that's with money. That can be with other things too, relationships. If you're trying to call in a beautiful, healthy, amazing relationship, you also need to be honest with yourself and look at yourself deeply. Are you the person that can meet this person you want to bring in where they need to be met at? Are you the person that can grow this relationship, and can it blossom into something beautiful as who you are right now? Are you ready for that? Are you truly, really capable? And I'm not saying this to make you feel bad about yourself. Sometimes the things that we want, the things and the way that we want them to come in, the way that we want them to come in is trauma based. And I've had this happen to me before too, like where before I was fully, like, I'm just going to use the word healed. There was a lot of trauma that I had to work through in relationships specifically. And so before I worked through everything that I really needed to work through, there would be times where I would just want like this person to come in and kind of like, why can't I have this amazing relationship right now? And like looking back, it's like it couldn't have happened because I wasn't the person that could have held on to that. Like there was still unfinished, unhealed trauma that would have triggered me majorly in a healthy relationship, and I probably would have sabotaged it. I wouldn't have been able to hold and grow a beautiful relationship with where I was at back then. So really ask yourself, what am I trying to call into my life? Or if a beautiful masterpiece that you're working on, if there's something that you're like, oh my God, I just messed it up. Try to look at it differently. Look at it differently. Maybe that's exactly what that needed so that your creative brain could pivot and go a different direction. And then it ends up turning out like even more amazing than you originally thought it was going to become. So, and then when you're trying to manifest things, really ask yourself like with what you received. So if you received something similar to what you were trying to call in, maybe that's a message from the universe saying, I hear you. Wonderful. You're on the right path. Here is what I know you need right now to get you to that bigger spot. Here is what you need right now so that you can continue to grow into the person that can hold and blossom and grow that bigger manifestation. So just ask yourself questions about it. Get curious instead of just being black and white about something where you're like, this didn't happen. I'm a failure. Blah, blah, blah. Don't throw that art piece away. Look at it differently. Maybe you end up chopping that art piece up and turning it into this crazy awesome collage. I mean, there are so many creative ways that we can pivot with our art, with our manifestations. And when you can sit and really know that everything that comes into your life is what you need in that moment so that you can become the person that can hold the thing that you truly want. Or it's showing you messages. It's giving you messages of what direction you might need to go in order to, get to where you really want. Maybe there's something within you. Maybe it triggers something within you that you really want to listen to and like go deep into that trigger. Be like, well, why did that trigger me that way? Maybe you're going to find something from your childhood that you're like, oh, wow. Okay. That makes sense. And then even just sitting with that and feeling through it all, maybe that unblocks you in a certain way. So don't look at things that aren't the way that you originally wanted them to be and they didn't turn out that way. Usually it's like a guide. If it's if it's a manifestation, it comes in differently. Ask yourself, is this what I truly needed? Like personally, when I ask myself, this is truly what I needed. This space, the trees, this area, the amount of groundedness, the walks in nature that I can get, it's really helped ground me, and it's really given me the space to keep growing and keep getting to that version of me that is going to be able to thrive in the bigger manifestation that I'm calling in. So don't get down on yourself. There's always something beautiful that can be made or created or seen through things that don't come in the way that we expected.